Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the name of the restaurant, Atelier, which is French for workshop. And I know that you've said to me a few times before, Chef Lepine, that the kitchen here is unlike any other kitchen that you've run. So, does the names come from the approach you took to organizing the way you run the kitchen here, or does it reflect something else entirely?
It reflects a little bit where our location, I think a little bit in that industrial sort of rundown neighborhood. I hate to say it. I'm going to get in trouble though. And yeah, a little bit I guess our approach to cooking, it's not a name that I came up with myself. It was a name that I liked when it was proposed to me, and then I think it's kind of like naming when rock bands name themselves. They come up with a name, and I think at the point that they start or do their first, they're stuck with that name and forever. Like the Goo Goo Dolls hate their name, so not that we hate our name, but we were thinking, since we anti-market ourselves so in so many ways, not having a sign, not using advertising, that we would maybe now that we've been open for 6 months, we would change our name to Cobra. So we're probably going to use that for the next 6 months, and then change it again in a year. So keep doing that and keep people on their toes.
Tell me more about the anti-marketing.
I am not for that. There's quite a few. Yeah, Marc's crazy.
So
There's a lot of ideas.
Speaking of crazy,
we just happened to be talking about that last week. So
yeah, it was pretty funny. All night he was kind of coming up with new names for the restaurant.
I saw Cobra on your Twitter feed.
Yeah, so we just started calling the restaurant.
So it made me think of G.I. Joe. That's
where
my head went.
For us, it was more like our Top Gun name, right?
Oh, I see.
So tell me a little bit more about the anti-marketing. You guys have got an anti-griddle here for those folks who don't know what that is. That freezes things instead of heats them up. Tell me a little bit about that anti-marketing. You're on Twitter. You're on a blog, which is impressive. You're one of the only Ottawa restaurants, and huge thumbs up to you guys, that don't use that prefab templated, subscription-based, whatever it's called. You guys have a beautiful website. You understand the high-quality nature of photography. That's very present on your site. Tell me a little bit about what anti-marketing means to you.
I don't really. I mean, there's different facets of it. Like not having a sign is on. We don't want to say, hey, we're a restaurant for several reasons. I mean, we'd have people wandering in here who don't know what they're coming into, and we don't want that. And we'd have people coming in at lunchtime and when we don't do lunch. So that's one part of it. We like to use things that are. It goes back to a discussion that Sarah and I had a year or two ago about some of the chefs, the way some American chefs become very successful in getting the word out about what they're doing. Grant Achat's certainly one of them, using eGullet and several other things to
Sam Mason,
sort of
the same way.
Right, to sort of get the word out about what their ideas in food, became famous and not famous, but became very well known for what they're doing by using the internet, and that's what we sort of wanted to do as well. And particularly with what we're doing, we thought it was really important. The more we talked about it, the more like on our own terms, using things like our blog and using things like Facebook and Twitter and whatever, that we could. The more we had control over what we were getting out there, and the more we talked about it, the more people would understand. Because there's a lot of misconceptions about this type of food, a lot of misconceptions about the restaurant, and people have a lot of things to say that aren't necessarily true. So we wanted to make sure that the right information was getting out there about what we're
doing. What's the social media avenue that's putting butts in the seats, though? Like, are you getting reservations because of Twitter? Are you getting reservations because of Facebook?
Not directly, probably, but people. We're getting reservations because of word of mouth, I think, mostly, and return clients.
And really, that's what social media is
right.
Is word of mouth in a different way.
Right.
Definitely, like newspaper reviews have an effect as well.
Yeah. We've been fortunate with media attention as well.
Actually, the French media, for some reason, tends to bring in quite a bit too.
Well, that's fascinating. Tell me a little bit about that, because I have noticed this as well when I was looking for stuff on the restaurant, that the French press tends to be a little bit more open, daring. They don't treat it as what I'm trying to say is as something unique. For instance, it's not to be marveled at, but instead to be reviewed almost. I noticed a lot more straight up articles on Atelier in the French press versus the English press. The English press spent a lot of time explaining things, as opposed to the French press, which just spent a lot of time describing things.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, there was Pierre's release article, and there was the recent one in Voir, which I had to read a Google translated version of, so it was, probably didn't get the full real gist of what it actually said. But
Mark, do you find a difference in the language of the journalists when they come, or is it?
I find each one is different. I don't know if I could pinpoint like French or English. Everyone's got their own.
And you've had probably food journalists, travel journalists.
Yeah, we've had a lot of journalists, a ton from all over the country, really. So.
And has that been a big part of sort of people understanding that the restaurant is here and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, huge part of it. The more people can read about, because we really have nothing saying that other than saying what we're doing, that we're even here doing anything. So, people, it's all every article in each different publication reaches somebody else, and a few people decide they're going to come try it, and then they talk about it, and that's how it spreads. I think.